What's up, Dane? How you doing, man?
Oh, good, good, good. Excited about tonight. I've been
Today?
looking forward to it for all week, so I'm pretty
Yeah.
pretty stoked for this one. How about
This
yourself?
one's, dude, this one's been one where I don't even know how to explain my giddiness. I will say when I bring her on, I'll give her a thanks for making me go up a notch and coolness for my kid. These days, kids look at things and they measure your coolness by YouTube or TikTok. So
Yeah,
when I was
yeah.
like, hey, I got a very special lady coming on, she was like, Dad, you're already cool, but now you're like 5 degrees cooler. So I was like, yeah, you know. But Dane, we always like to give some useful or useless facts. You determine that. I'm coming to you guys live tonight from a mobile event, but I always make time for our guests. Dane,
Yep,
it's
definitely.
reverse. You're anchoring it down tonight in the studio, Dane, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
actually
there we
mobile.
go.
So, but dude, I got some facts for you. Tonight's a musician night, so I figured it'd be good to have some music stuff. Did you
Yep.
know that when Prince, legendary Prince,
Mm,
recorded his debut album, his first album, he used 27 different instruments that he played with?
yeah. And that guy was he covered all the bases from what I remember. They said he could there
Literally,
wasn't
man,
there wasn't an instrument that he couldn't play. So that's no
crazy.
surprise there. Unreal.
Did you know? Yeah, man. Did you know also that the biggest free concert of all time was a concert put on by Rod Stewart? Found that out.
Hmm. No, I didn't know that.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, an icon in
Um,
his own right.
yeah, I love his stuff. And then another interesting fact: the only band in the entire history of music so far to play on all seven continents is Metallica. Found that out today too. So,
Nice.
but speaking of
Nice.
someone who knows bands and music like Metallica and that genre very well, Dane, I don't
Yeah.
want to waste any more time because we've been anxious for this one. It's a privilege and honor to bring on one of the sweetest people in rock that you're ever going to meet.
Yep.
We look up to this lady, nothing but kind things around about her to say worldwide. The
Yep.
legendary Dorothy Taylor. Dorothy, how you doing, lady?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yes.
Good
Thank
to
you for
hear.
coming on.
Thank you.
It's
You're very
a privilege. We're glad you're back from vacation, Dorothy. Hope all was well and had a good time. I know you're busy, lessons, and you're getting back into lessons very soon. Is that right? If I heard?
yes. Next week, I think I start back.
Hmm.
hmm
Oh, nice.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, Dorothy Dane, I've got some questions for you. Again, we're excited to meet you. Again, I love what you stand for. The premise of never count somebody out, or the premise of just go out and do it. The effort, the
Yep.
attitude of just being awesome. We love that about you. So I'm going to take the lead on this one, Dorothy. And we've got some questions. So, legendary musician, teacher, instructor, role model.
Yep.
Probably life coach at this point with all the things you do. Take you back to when it began, though, Dorothy. When did you begin playing music? How old were you in your life when it all began for you? You know?
Hmm.
Well, I started taking piano
Hmm.
in third grade. I was 8 years old. And I liked it the first couple of years, but then she had me playing a lot of classical music, which, I wasn't really into. I was watching rock artists on television and Ed Sullivan and Johnny
Yeah.
Carson, things like that.
Yep.
Uh, so I continued though. I did finish, I think, 6 years because in eighth grade, I said, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. I want to play drums. I'd been
I love it.
watching drummers in marching bands on TV for all those years that I was playing piano. But see, I didn't see any girls that played drums. But by the time I got in eighth grade, I said, I'm going to go and try out for the drum and bugle corps. And luckily, we had one in my hometown. Very small drum and bugle corps, but we competed. We were best in the state. We got first or second place every year, and I was in it for 6 years. And that's where I got my chops
All right.
because
I
you
love that.
practice between 6 and 10 hours a day in the
Wow.
summer for each weekend show and parade that we did. And just built up my chops within those 6 years. So then, by the time I was 17, I graduated high school. I still played for 2 more years in corps, but in the wintertime, we didn't, march or anything. So I got in a band, and that was my first band when I was 17. I played
Oh,
in a
Awesome.
wow.
car, but in Michigan, they didn't care if I wasn't 21. I was just with the band. So uh, but I played polkas and waltzes. That was my first band. And the dance floor was packed every night, Tuesday through Saturday.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. I couldn't imagine these people that were there partying and drinking and dancing and everything on a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night when they had to work the next morning. But they loved that music that we played. We had an organist, um, bass player, trumpet, and I think drums. I don't think there was any more. And we just played all the fancy polkas that were popular up in Upper Michigan back then.
That's cool.
And it
I
was
would,
a lot of fun. It really was.
that's awesome. The diverse music that you play. I need you
Yeah.
dabble with jazz and all that. And I
Yeah.
always tell people when I say polka, I always go polka polka. You know, from the Home Alone movie. No, that's awesome. So that was your start, your first band, huh? Were you doing
Yep.
cover as well as
Yeah.
original, or was it mostly cover at the time? Or?
I think they were all well-known pieces. Yeah.
Gotcha,
Mm.
Roll
gotcha.
Out the Barrel,
Yeah,
Pennsylvania polka,
Mhm.
and stuff like that.
that's so
And
cool. That's awesome.
all the old waltzes.
Nice. So you
Yep,
cut your teeth on some good stuff back then. Into
Yeah.
a
I did.
into a packed house. Nothing beats learning and playing to a packed house and see how they react to you.
Yeah. But the fun part was, now this was back in 1968, 69, um, $50 a night. And I was only 17 and 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
$50 a night, 5 nights a week. I was rolling in it. I thought I was rich back then.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that one day, Dorothy, and Dane. Before you take two, my kid, we were talking about gas prices and all that. She was like, talking about when gas was 90 cents or whatnot. So $50 would have got you a long ways with some money then.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's fantastic. Dane, go ahead, man. Go
Definitely.
ahead, Dane.
So now, whenever you switch from, what was it that, was it a certain rock band or a certain type of music that made you make the switch from piano to drums? What was it that final kick to let you go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to do these drums?
Hmm.
Well, I think just like I've been seeing more and more on Instagram and TikTok, these little kids that are like 2 years old, 3 years old,
Yeah.
4 years old, and they're sitting behind, playing grooves on the kit. And I
Mhm.
think that if I had had access to drums, I probably would have been one of those
Mm.
because I feel like I was just born to be a drummer.
Mm.
But
That's,
like I said, girls did not play drums
yeah.
that
Mhm.
we were aware of, and I wasn't allowed to sign up in band in 6th grade, so I signed up for saxophone. So I played saxophone my 6th grade year, and then I quit because I wanted to play the drums. I never did play drums in school. I never
Mm.
did. It was just drum and bugle corps that had nothing to do with school.
You, you
So
know, go ahead, Dane.
I was just saying, now, whenever you did start playing the drums and learning and going out, were there any kind of maybe discouraging words that came your way during those times whenever you started playing, or did everybody just kind of say, okay, let's see what you can do, and just kind
Yeah.
of help you along?
Yep. I never, and all the gigs that we did, and then I started playing in a wedding band also
Mhm.
before I left Michigan in 1970. So
Mhm.
between 1968 and 70, I was in two different bands,
Mhm.
and it was not. I felt like it was just not unusual. They
Yeah,
never said
yeah,
anything to me. They weren't shocked or anything. They were just like happy to see me up there. Whoever
Yeah.
I love it.
happened to spot me, behind the drums. And so I was accepted. There
I
wasn't
love
any
that.
question about it, which was really cool.
Dorothy, Dane and I talk about this a lot. And Dane, the reason we started doing this show, even when we began, we believe in that power of equality, female and male, that respect that should be universal and equal, right? And, we do a lot with softball and female sports. And I'm so, like, you representing a brand, a movement. I'm so grateful that it's finally getting to that point where that stuff doesn't matter, male or female. I love to see that. Just be a great drummer. That's all we need to say is for
Yep.
who you are. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah,
appreciate you.
definitely.
There are a lot of girls, women playing drums now, a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
that
Good
I'm
ones too.
following. And I
Yeah,
just
really
keep
great
seeing
ones.
new. new ones.
Mhm.
You know, every week I see new people on Instagram.
Yeah.
I guess they're
Yes.
following me, and then so I'll follow them back. And they're
Yeah.
There you go.
really good,
The,
great drummers.
there's Dorothy, there's an influence about you that there's something so refreshing about. Like I said, I've watched your videos. I can't count how many times, and I've been playing since I was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
kid as well. And I follow you. I have for a long time, and I'm like, I wanted to get the courage, to ask you when we had the show in more of a proper setting. And there's an influence that you're spreading to this generation, and those even some of the bands that are current now. Like I see the Overkill, good metal band, Polish, and different ones. Your
Yeah.
influence is so broad because we love you, but I'm curious, is there a band or two, any genre really that's you, or maybe a drummer, that you've looked up to in your career more than others, that's been your influence in your life?
Well, I started out with Buddy Rich,
Yep.
Mm.
and
Hmm.
to me, uh, there are so many wonderful drummers out there now, but none of them can play what Buddy did.
Mhm.
Buddy Rich was just, I don't know, he was phenomenal. And he played things that I've never seen other drummers play. So he was my first influence. But then, for nowadays, for the last, I don't know, 20 years or so, I would put, like, I wrote down some, uh, um, uh, definitely Vinnie Colaiuta. I love
Yep.
Vinnie. He's
Yep.
he's
That
another
comes up
one
a lot.
that's
Yep.
way up there by Buddy. He has his own style. I could hear Vinny on a recording and not even know who the drummer was, and I could tell you that it was Vinny.
Mhm.
I'll look it up and say, "Yep, that was Vinny." He has his own signature sound, signature crack on his snare drum, just because of
Mm.
that traditional grip. I could always
Hmm.
tell. Dave Weckel, he had just the way his cymbals were incorporated in his playing. And he used to have this little 8-inch A custom splash. And I
Mm.
could listen to a recording and say, that's Dave Weckel. And sure enough,
Hmm.
it would be Dave Weckel. And we actually had him in our store. I worked in a music store, and he did a clinic. And we went out to dinner afterwards. And he
That's
had a
awesome.
couple of his reps, a Yamaha rep, and I think the Zildjian rep was there with him. We had a good time eating here at a new restaurant here in Myrtle Beach. So Dave Weckel, Steve Smith, I wrote down Chris Coleman.
Yep.
He's
Yep. That's
he's
a
amazing too. He and Dave Weckel have done some things together. Uh, and who else did I write down? I love Keith Carlock. He has his own definite style. And those are just a few that I
yeah.
thought of just off the top of my head.
And then
Whatever.
add Dorothy Taylor to that, right, Dane? Add that to the mix as well,
Yeah, there
right?
you go.
So
There you
yeah.
go.
Go ahead, Dane.
Well, I was just saying now that you've been at it for a while and you give lessons and things like that, what's next on the horizon for you? Do you have some shows to do? Are you going to work with some bands and doing gigs and things like that?
No, not really. I was supposed to go back to Drumeo and do a couple of other videos,
Mhm.
hopefully hoping they would kind of go, out of control and viral like the other ones
Yeah.
did. But I had some surgery done in January, so I wasn't
Mhm.
able to go in March when we had it set up.
Mhm.
So they're supposed to be calling me to see if I could get back there in the fall, which like
Good.
October or November or whatever. So we'll see about that. Otherwise, I don't have anything lined up right as of right now, other than just
Mhm.
teaching virtually. And I have students from like all over the world that I
Mhm.
teach.
Yeah.
And how many students do you typically do in maybe a week's time or a month's time?
Well, now that I'm older, I don't really want a big, heavy load. I don't need the
Yeah.
heavy load. I don't need the money. So I'm doing it just because they beg me to give them lessons. So
Yeah.
just in a week's time, probably around 15,
Hmm.
15, 16, and then I just
Gotcha.
spread them out through the week. But my husband likes, if if he says, let's go, let's jump in the car and go such and such place, he doesn't want me to be so bogged down
Yeah.
teaching like every day.
Yeah.
So I've lightened my schedule last year and probably will do it again this year.
Well, I think you do it for the right reasons because you love it. That's what we love about people like you is, as you
I
said,
do.
yeah, and that's the best reason to do it when we coach and all that. Those that want to do it because they want to,
Yeah.
typically have the
I don't
best
need to
results.
do it. I don't
Yeah,
Yeah.
need to do it. I
Mhm.
just do it
I love that.
because I like seeing the end results, especially if I get a good drummer. It makes me
Yeah.
happy. Or someone that's new but has the talent. You can see the talent there, and they're willing to put the time in.
Right.
Yes. Well, I've got a little
Those are the
section. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Dorothy. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
those
Go
are
ahead.
the your favorite students, the ones that
Mhm.
are really going to work. And so when you see them the next week, they really impress you because they've really put the work in.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
but it's hard to find every student like that. You know, sometimes they think they want to just get really good and be a good drummer and they've only put in like 15-20 minutes a day.
Hmm.
That just doesn't cut it. You just can't do it. It'll take you
Yeah.
forever
You
to
know
be
what's
able to
interesting,
do it.
Dorothy, that you say that? We say that same thing to our athletes. Doesn't that sound familiar, Dane, with our
Yeah,
athletes as well
definitely.
that we coach?
All the coaches, they say, don't even if they spent an hour with you, at the lesson. I mean, you can only do so much at practice. We tell them you have to do a lot of the things on your own. You find something that you like to do, and then practice, practice, practice. You have to. We heard another coach say, you have to fall in love with the process to be great at something. The
Hmm.
the stuff that you might find mundane and boring,
Right.
that's what's going to get you to that level that you want to be. So sounds like a
Exactly.
great lesson. Yeah.
Yeah. And I never, and and all the rest of the drumline that I marched with way back, we never complained. We knew that we had to do it, and we did it. We would we would have like a sectional in the morning, and in the afternoon we might get together with the horns just and not march, just music wise, and then in the evening all of us get together. So if you added up all the hours in one day, it came to at least 8 hours.
Mm. Wow.
That's
And
a lot
that's
of
what it
that's a
takes.
lot of drumming.
That's
you
what
know.
it takes, though. If
Yeah,
you see
definitely.
somebody really ripping on a guitar, doing all kinds of crazy things, I can guarantee he did not practice 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
He did that shedding in his bedroom for like all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and then back to school maybe on during the week. And as soon as get off the bus, go straight in their bedroom. They didn't care about their homework. They just went right back to that guitar.
I love that. I love your set, Dorothy. Before I transition to rapid, which you're going to get a kick out of, is that your full on practice set, or do you have multiple sets? So that's a beautiful set. I'm seeing to sit out there.
I Yes, I have like 5 drum sets. So
Love it. I love it.
now that I'm back from vacation, I think I'm going to put my DW kit. I don't know if you can see it over there in the
Yeah.
corner,
A
green
little bit. Yeah.
stacked. I'm going to put it back together, and then I have my vintage Rogers kit. It's a
Okay.
1965 in mint condition. Uh,
Wow.
that's there, and then I have a little Ludwig Questlove kit, that same kind of kit that I used when I did the Jimmy Fallon show.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna take it downstairs and put it next to my piano because my grandson can play piano really well. He plays drums and guitar. So I'll just have it downstairs next to my guitar and my piano, and then we can play like when he comes here after school and stuff.
That's awesome.
So, and then I have just the little flat, there's no shell. It's just a head with a rim.
Mm.
Uh, they're called percussion. I
Yeah.
have that
Uh-huh.
flat against the wall. I don't think you can see it from here though. So there's 5 kits altogether.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
This,
You got some priceless stuff in there. That's a beautiful
yeah,
kit there, Dorothy. I love it.
yeah, I love it. This is
Uh,
tamburo handmade drums from Italy.
oh
Oh
man,
wow.
Made.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. I gotta transition for a second, and we're gonna make a chuckle quite a bit. So, Dorothy, there's a thing we do every episode now. Dane and I, every single time we do this, we have a little wager, Dane and I, and we bet on these things. It's called rapid fire. As I was prepping you, I said, this is the only thing I won't give you any prep for, okay? Now, they're easy stuff, nothing too deep, but it's meant to make you chuckle. The fans give us some silly questions that I think you'll get a kick out of it. But you got to imagine past or present, time doesn't exist, anything's possible, and you have to pick one of these options, okay? So,
Okay.
because Dan, you ready? You got your picks?
Yep, I'm ready to go here.
Now remember, the winner gets lunch provided by the loser. So Dorothy, it's okay if you pick me. I'm just kidding. So we bet on what we think you're gonna pick. So here we go. First question, Dorothy. Imagine you're playing a gig. You're pulled up to do a session. You're doing a lesson. Maybe it's a clinic. There's 500 drummers at this stadium. They want you to come teach them all. Somehow it's organized chaos, and you're teaching 500 students all at once. You get there, and somehow there's no drumsticks. All drumsticks have disappeared from the planet. So what you have to use to teach these lessons, you have two choices. You can use the end of a pogo stick. That's one. That's one of your choices. Or two, you can use the ends of a jump rope. And you got to do your thing and just light it up with a pogo stick or a jump rope. Which one are you going with?
I'll probably do jump rope.
Oh, I didn't have that one.
All right. Oh yeah, you got to go with the jump rope. It's those hard plastic. Oh yeah.
Man.
That would give you more of a handle.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
there you go. You could do a little bit of a spin with it, and then go back to it, shredding. Oh
man. Oh goodness. Okay. So obviously you've done some great covers, and I've seen you do a lot of amazing covers, Dorothy. But let's switch gears for a second and say I've seen a lot of metal and a lot of jazz fusion type stuff that you've done, and just all around the world. But you're called in one day. You need to fill in for a gig. Two of these iconic bands want you to fill in for a night and play drums for them. Okay. So your first option. Gonna go legendary old school. Ozzy wants you to fill in for a night. That's choice one. You can go with Ozzy, or completely switching genres, all of that different side of the spectrum. You can fill in for Shania Twain for a night. So Ozzy, Shania Twain, which one are you filling in for?
Definitely Ozzy.
Let's go. I'm one
Yeah,
for
there you
two.
go.
Okay. Did you have that one, Dane?
Oh yeah, I had Ozzy.
Gotcha. I love it. Yeah, again, rapid fire. So, Dorothy, transitioning, because I know you played all instruments and you've done things, we're going to go back into some of the glory days of rock in the 70s and 80s. Two of these legendary ladies call you up and say, hey, we'd like you to fill in tonight and be a frontman for the band, and you get to be the lead singer and take the place of one of these two ladies for a night, okay? I've seen a lot of things you do. You can fill in for a night for Pat Benatar or Stevie Nicks. Who are you filling in for a night?
Stevie Nicks.
Let's go, Dane. I'm coming back, Dane. Did you have that one?
Oh yeah, Stevie Nicks is iconic. Oh man.
I love it. Yeah, both in their own rights, but I had Stevie as well. So next question, Dorothy. You're called up to do you're going to be a guest host for a season of American Idol. You get to fill in, and you get to pick one of your two co-hosts. Okay, this is part of the universe of what's going on. And they say, hey, you have two choices to help you be your co-host. The two choices are either Reba or Dolly. Who's filling in with you as your co-host on American Idol?
Oh, I love them both.
Yes, yeah.
Probably Dolly.
Let's go. Here I come, Dane.
Oh,
And
you
again,
tied it up.
And again, let me preface: we love all of these choices. We're just saying, if you had to, preference or style wise, it's more of a personality question. They're all both great. Last question: you get sponsored all the time. There's drummer sponsorships and all that. But two companies that are nothing to do with music or drums want to sponsor you, and you've got to pick one of these two people, these two companies that you can represent as your Dorothea Taylor drumming brand, not anything to do with drums. The two companies you can work with is either A, legendary Dr. Pepper, or the last one, instead of Dr. Pepper, you can actually be the representative of Funyuns. So Dr. Pepper or Funyuns, which one do you go?
It has to be a Dr. Pepper.
Let's go, Dane. I'm back, baby. 4 for 5. What did you have, Dane?
No, I had some Funyuns.
Did you really? I love it. I love it. So, Dorothy, as you're drumming next time and the Dr. Pepper sponsorship, if you're listening, Dr. Pepper, you're welcome. I'll give you my address. Send me and Dorothy a case. Let's rock it out. Let's go. So, Dorothy, thank you for that. Hopefully, interviews you've done, you haven't had a segment like that. It's a little thing we do called rapid fire. So,
Yeah.
Thanks for being a good sport. And here's Dane for the final segment.
Yeah, Dorothea, on this last segment, we call it an open mic. We kind of open the floor up to our guests to kind of maybe tell our fans, we kind of cater to a younger audience, that look up to individuals like yourself to get to the level you're at. Is there a philosophy that you've carried or a mantra you've carried through your life to maybe you can pass on to that younger group that wants to get better at their craft, and maybe some words of wisdom to help them along?
Well, I would say always have faith to be able to fulfill your dreams, because
Mhm.
when I was in high school, and I got my first drum set by the time I think I was a junior in high school, like 16ish. And then I started playing in the first band. I had this dream that I wanted to be a drummer that would be well known, get
Mhm.
in a well known band. And I wanted to go to California. My first cousin lived in California, because little old Michigan, I felt like, I wouldn't go anywhere. But if I went to California, I would be able to get into a well known band and then get a name for myself. Well,
Mhm.
I ended up meeting my husband when I was oh, almost 19, I think,
Mhm.
and ended up he was leaving to go. He got stationed at a new Air Force base, and I knew I probably would never see him again. So I got married early. I got married 19. And then we started having babies by the time I was 21, and things just, totally changed. So my dreams of doing what I wanted to do were gone. But I still had in the back of my mind, I still practiced. I played, with sticks on a pad, because I wanted to fulfill my dream somehow. But
Mhm.
all those years passed up until social media got a hold of me, say 3 years ago.
Mhm.
And now I'm an old lady, but I feel like I've fulfilled
Yeah.
my dream, that
Yeah.
I do have people that know me now. I didn't
Yeah.
get in a famous band, but my dream has come true. And so I
Yeah.
feel like, don't give up, and, still work on fulfilling your dream. Even if it doesn't happen instantly, it could be
Mhm.
later in life.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well.
Dang, dang, that's Dorothy. And I'll tell you this. I think it's sweet in a different way. You were able to surpass. I mean, with all respect, even the biggest bands of the '60s and '70s, you're able to surpass that now with the things you've done, with the audience
Yeah.
that you've reached. It's almost like I wish maybe at that time you would have been early on, but now that you fulfilled this and everyone knows you, it's
Yeah.
got to be that much sweeter to know that you achieved that goal.
Yeah.
Very well
Yeah.
known. So.
It makes
Love
me
that.
smile when I think about it.
We well, the first time, because we've been watching it for a long time, and I said there's just a sweetness about you. There's a
Yeah.
kindness, and you really do want to help others. And like you said, I keep going back to it in closing, the fact that you don't have to do this, and you're gracious with your time, even things like this. You
Yeah.
do it because you love it. You want to help
I do.
people, and you
I
want
love
to
it.
see. I love it. I love it. Dorothy, we always say the next generation of musicians and artists and athletes are in good hands. And with people like you to teach, no
Yeah.
wonder there's so many good musicians coming up. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Anything in closing? Because that was
Yeah.
awesome.
I just want to thank you for coming on with us, giving us the time, and being such a positive influence. I
Yeah.
mean, you get some of these uh, younger viewers that look up to, athletes and things, and see that what they do, but they're a younger generation, and like you can still do what you do at a high level as you get older, and keep practicing, and you can still
Mm,
be influential and show people that you can do great things no matter what age you are,
I
and
love it.
just keep working at it, like you said, and it'll happen for you. So keep
Yeah.
positive, and we love what you're doing, and we hope you have many years to come doing what you do, because
Yeah.
I love, like Josh says, we watch your videos and we love them. So keep doing what you're
Thank
doing,
you.
and we'll keep watching.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Dorothy. In closing, so when it happens, when you get the Dr. Pepper American Idol sponsorship, we'll bring you back on and we'll talk about it. Okay. We'll do a round two. You're welcome back anytime. We do mean that. Okay. So.
Definitely.
All right.
Well, Dorothy,
Thank you.
we appreciate you. We'll be in touch. We'll get this out as soon as we can for the world.
Yep.
We love what you're doing. Tell the family we said hello.
Yeah.
Best of luck, and we'll be in touch very soon. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
thank you,
Sounds
my
good.
friend.
Thank you.
Have
Thank you so
have a
much.
good one. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. I'm
Bye.
looking to drop off. Dan, I'm telling you, man, just one of the sweetest people, man. When she gave me her time, she was actually on vacation the first time I had met her,
Yeah.
talked to her,
Yeah.
and just a nice person. That's the kind of people you want influencing rock and roll. And I go back to
Yeah.
Stain for a second. We talk all the time about wanting female and male athletics to be equal, right? And same with
Yeah.
music. I
Definitely.
love it that she's like, I don't care what anybody thinks, as this is how it should be. And I love that about her story, her
Yeah.
message. She wasn't caring that she was the only gal drummer around. She didn't care. I
Yeah.
love that about her story. You know what I mean? So what'd you
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
about
I mean, yeah. I mean, you do something you love, people will take notice. I mean, I tell
it?
that
Yeah.
to my daughter all the time. It's like you do something great, people are going to take notice, and somebody's going
Mm,
to see, and it takes that one chance, and then boom, all of a sudden you're there.
that
I
was
mean,
wonderful.
whenever we were talking about, her path that she thought she was going to cut, and then she met her husband, and then finally now things are coming around 3 years ago. It's one of
Yeah.
those things where it might have been to where she's more famous now had she been in just a band, with
Yeah.
her name being out there in the forefront with what she's doing, and she does it at such a high level that you can't help but take
Yeah.
notice when somebody does something great. I mean, you can forget the age and all that. If you do something great, people are going to see it. And from what I've seen, the videos I've
Yeah.
seen, the music I've heard her play, it's just she does it great, and you can't help but take notice. So
Admire it, admire
yeah,
it.
definitely.
Any
So that
drummer I've ever talked to, Dane, that plays drums, they know her. They talk about Vinny a lot. They talk about Dorothy.
yeah,
Of course, Carter comes up a lot. Danny Carey.
yeah,
And that's icons. They mentioned Dorothy, and I'm so glad that's the way it's supposed to be. I wanted it.
yeah.
What the
And
reason
this,
we
yeah,
do this is, this is why she's an example of why we do what we do.
yeah, yeah.
So
They're all in this. They should all be in the same breath. You just hold their content up against each other, and you say they're in the
yep,
same seat. So
man,
it's great to talk to people like that have such a positive message, and do something great as well to boot. Not just full of words, but they show what they can do. So
back it up,
I love it.
back it up.
Yeah,
When I first started showing you her during COVID, I was like, dang, one of these days, man, we're going to get her on. We talked about that early on. I said, we're going to get her on at some point. And that
yeah,
was like my dream is like, hey,
yeah,
someone like herself, we have to showcase her. So that was a bucket list item. Thank you again. Dorothy, we'll get this out to the world as soon as we can. Then we got many more to come. I don't even have time to go through the list of what's coming up next week. We did get word that we're going to get one of our buddies from Brantley Gilbert, or formerly of
yeah,
Brantley Gilbert, and one of our
yeah,
buddies from Billy Currington stopping by soon.
yeah,
Sunday, Dane's a big day as well. We've got one of our buddies, Ruben Arroyo, stopping by. He's an awesome athlete and fighter. And the nightcap, we've got Big Zell, I call him, stopping by, legendary producer to work with Quavo and Tebow and different people. So a lot of music. And then heavy next week, we get back to some softball or roots. So we've got some people
yeah.
for you next week. Many more athletes to come. But tonight was just a special one episode, nothing else needed. The one and only Dorothea
Yeah.
Taylor. So we'll get this out as soon as we can. And as always, Dane and I always say, don't forget that we love you. And Dane,
Thank you for listening.